Have you ever been in that situation where a guy seemed completely into you, and then suddenly, as if someone flipped a switch, he cooled off? Yesterday he was texting non-stop, making plans, acting like he couldn't get enough of you. And today, he gives short replies, takes hours to respond, and you're left wondering, what happened? Did I say too much? Was I too affectionate too soon? Or should I have played it cooler, acted more distant? That emotional roller coaster is exhausting, and it leaves so many women confused. But the truth is, there's a science behind this behavior. Male psychology follows clear patterns. Attraction isn't some unsolvable mystery. It's driven by triggers shaped by biology, psychology, and life experience. Today, as a wise friend, and as someone who's studied both the neuroscience of desire and the psychology of relationships, I'm going to pull back the curtain. I'm going to reveal the behaviors that make men chase you without even realizing it. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why some women are unforgettable, while others fade into nothing more than a deleted contact in his phone. Get ready, because what I'm about to share isn't about cheap tricks or manipulation. These are real principles, backed by science and proven in everyday life. Let's start with one of the most powerful triggers in the human brain: scarcity. People naturally place more value on what isn't always available. It's the same reason a limited edition sneaker or a reservation-only restaurant feels so desirable. It's not just about the thing itself, it's about the sense that not everyone can have it. Relationships work the same way. When you're always available, always quick to respond, always ready to rearrange your schedule for him, you're signaling, without realizing it, that he already has you. And what feels guaranteed tends to lose its spark. Neuroscience explains this through the dopamine system. Dopamine, the brain chemical tied to motivation and desire, doesn't spike when something is certain. It spikes with uncertainty, with the maybe. That's why slot machines are addictive and why people keep refreshing their social media feeds. You never know when that next little reward will show up. Now think about your dynamic with him. If you respond immediately every time, if you're constantly accessible, if you lay your whole routine out for him, where's the maybe? Where's the suspense? Without it, his brain doesn't light up with anticipation. The desire that should be building starts to fade. Picture this. Woman A responds instantly to every text and cancels her plans the moment he suggests hanging out. Woman B responds warmly, but sometimes she takes a little while because she's at the gym, out with friends, or focused on her own goals. When they go out, she has fun, but the next day she's still living her life. Which one do you think keeps him on his toes, wondering when he'll see her again? Exactly, the second, because she isn't overexposed. He still feels like there's something to earn, something not fully within his grasp. This doesn't mean playing games or disappearing on purpose. It's about balance, small doses of absence that create space for him to miss you. Think of it like seasoning food. The right amount brings out the flavor, too much ruins the dish. Even on social media, the same principle applies. If you post every single detail of your life, there's nothing left for him to discover. But when you share snapshots, just enough to spark curiosity, his imagination fills in the blanks. And curiosity fuels attraction. That's the power of scarcity. It reminds him that you're not just a text away 24/7. You have a full, vibrant life of your own. And when he realizes that, he starts thinking about you more, craving your attention, and chasing after you without even noticing he's doing it. Here's the key. Men chase women who see themselves as the prize. And let's be clear, this isn't about arrogance. It's about self-worth. When you put your goals, your happiness, and your personal growth first, without needing anyone else's approval, you naturally project value. Psychologists call this the perception of social value. We're drawn to people who seem confident, admired, and in demand. Now, think about the opposite. A woman who spends her entire day begging for attention, checking in constantly, rearranging her whole life just to fit into his, sends the message that she doesn't shine on her own. That dependence doesn't spark attraction, it drains it. Compare that with a woman who has her own passions, invests in her career, spends time with her friends, and shows she's fulfilled whether he's around or not. That's magnetic. That's when a man looks at her and thinks, if she's this confident, this full of life, I can't let someone else scoop her up. Picture two women at dinner. The first laughs at everything he says, agrees with every opinion, and seems desperate to impress. The second listens, engages, shares her own funny stories, and speaks with quiet confidence. Which one do you think he'll remember the next day? Exactly, the second, because she's not there trying to prove herself. She already knows her worth. And here's where neuroscience backs it up. When the male brain senses something, or someone, of high value, it releases dopamine. That chemical says, don't miss this chance. You've got to earn it. That's why being the prize matters. It flips the dynamic. Instead of you chasing his validation, he's the one chasing yours. And when you combine that self-value with the right balance of attention and mystery, you create the kind of energy no man can resist. Relationships are like a dance, two people moving in rhythm, sometimes stepping forward, sometimes stepping back. If you lean in too much, he instinctively pulls away. If you pull back completely, he may lose interest. The real magic is in finding the balance of energy. Here's where science comes in. The male brain responds strongly to what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. In simple terms, he stays more engaged when the rewards, your attention, your affection, your time, don't always come in predictable ways. Think about why people keep checking their phones for notifications. They never know when the next buzz will bring something exciting. So, when you give unlimited attention, he gets used to it. The spark fades. But when you show him warmth, laughter, and genuine presence, and then pull back a little, letting him wonder when he'll get that energy again, you create tension. And that tension is the heartbeat of attraction. Picture this. He texts you late at night asking, "What are you up to?" Instead of writing out a long explanation, you reply, "Plotting my world takeover, not sure yet if you'll get a seat at the table, winking face." Short, playful, and mysterious. He laughs, but he's also intrigued. He wants more. Or imagine you're out together. You're all in, smiling, making eye contact, laughing. Then, for just a moment, you step away to take a quick call. Suddenly, he notices the silence, realizes how much lighter the mood felt when you were right there. Even that brief space makes him crave your presence again. It's like fire, it needs oxygen to keep burning. Too much attention smothers it. Too little and it dies out. But give just enough, in just the right moments, and the flame grows stronger. And this ties directly into something even deeper, a part of him that's been wired into his brain for thousands of years, the hunter's instinct. For thousands of years, men were wired to be hunters. That instinct hasn't disappeared, it's still deeply embedded in the male brain. And here's what that means for relationships. Men often feel a stronger rush during the chase than after the catch. Neuroscience backs this up. Studies show that dopamine, the chemical of motivation and excitement, spikes higher when a man is pursuing something uncertain than when he already has it. In other words, he gets more satisfaction from the process of winning you over than from knowing you're already his. That's why making yourself too easy, too available, or too predictable can backfire. It shuts off his hunter mode. But when you allow space for curiosity, when you let him work to earn your time and attention, you trigger that primal instinct. Here's how it looks in real life. Let's say he asks about your day. Instead of giving a full play-by-play, you tease him a little. "It was great, but there's a funny part I'll tell you next time." Now he's hooked. His brain wants the missing piece. He'll keep thinking about it, and about you, until he gets the rest of the story. But here's the catch. If you make the chase impossible, he'll give up. Attraction thrives in balance. The challenge has to be just enough to keep him interested, but not so overwhelming that it feels hopeless. Think of it like a video game. If the level is too easy, he gets bored. If it's impossible, he turns it off. But if it's challenging with the right rewards along the way, he'll keep playing, eager to reach the next stage. That's exactly how the hunter instinct works in love. And once you understand it, you'll see why some women keep men chasing them for years, while others are forgotten in weeks. But knowing what attracts isn't enough. You also need to understand what repels, because certain behaviors can push a man away faster than anything else. Here's the truth. Just as certain behaviors pull a man closer, others can drive him away almost instantly. And many women, without realizing it, end up doing exactly what triggers his instinct to back off. The first mistake is constant pressure. Bombarding him with texts when he doesn't reply fast enough, asking where he is every hour, or demanding explanations for every gap in communication. It doesn't create closeness. It creates suffocation. Psychologists call this reactance. When someone feels their freedom is being threatened, their natural response is to pull away. The second is insecurity on repeat. A little jealousy here and there can be flattering, it shows you care. But when it becomes the main theme, it signals fear, not confidence. And confidence is one of the most attractive traits you can show. Insecurity, on the other hand, drains the energy out of the relationship. The third mistake is trying to control everything. Telling him who he can hang out with, micromanaging his schedule, questioning every move. That kills spontaneity. And attraction thrives on freedom, not rules. Think of it like holding a butterfly. If you squeeze too hard, it escapes. If you let it rest freely, it stays. Picture this. He doesn't reply for 2 hours. Instead of sending 10 follow-up texts, you let it go. Later, when he finally messages, he finds you calm, lighthearted, and maybe even joking about it. That reaction makes him want to lean in, not pull away. Or imagine getting upset over something as small as him liking a random post online. That reaction tells him you don't trust your own value. But when you respond with self-assurance, when you show him you're secure in who you are, that confidence becomes magnetic. Bottom line, attraction doesn't grow in an atmosphere of control, fear, or constant demands. It grows in a space of trust, lightness, and freedom. And once you understand that, you'll see how small shifts in your daily behavior can make a huge difference in how he responds to you. And speaking of daily behavior, let's get practical, because knowing the theory is one thing, but applying it in real-life situations is where the magic really happens. Let's bring this down to everyday life, because theory only matters if you know how to put it into practice. First date. You walk in confident, smiling, comfortable in your own skin. Instead of trying to prove yourself, you let the conversation flow. You ask questions, you listen, and you share fun stories. You're present, but you don't overshare every detail. By the end of the night, he's left thinking, I have to see her again. Texting. He sends, hey, stranger. Instead of a long explanation about your week, you reply, not a stranger, just busy living smirk. Short, playful, and intriguing. It leaves him wanting to keep the conversation going. If you always reply with long essays, or worse, with dry one-word answers, you lose the rhythm. Attraction lives in that playful balance. Day-to-day life. Keep your own interests alive. Whether it's hitting the gym, pursuing your career goals, traveling with friends, or diving into a hobby you love, you're showing him that your world doesn't revolve around him. That independence doesn't push him away, it pulls him closer, because it tells him you're choosing him, not needing him. Even in moments when he pulls back a little, your reaction matters. If you panic and chase, he feels suffocated. But if you give him space and pour that energy into yourself, it often flips the script. That's when he realizes, wait, I might be losing someone valuable. And just like that, he starts chasing again. These small, practical choices, your tone, your timing, your energy, are what communicate your worth without you ever having to say it out loud. They speak louder than words, and they plant the thought in his mind. She's special, and I don't want to miss out. Now you see, it's not about playing games or manipulating him. It's about understanding how the male mind really works, and making small adjustments that completely change the way he sees you. A little scarcity, seeing yourself as the prize, balancing your energy, tapping into his hunter instinct, avoiding the behaviors that push him away, and living these principles in your daily life. These are the shifts that make a man chase you without even realizing it. Not because you begged for his attention, but because you awakened something deeper inside him: curiosity, respect, desire. So here's the real question. Will you keep giving everything away on a silver platter? Or will you start using these truths to become the kind of woman he can't stop thinking about? The choice is yours, and once you decide, you'll never look at relationships the same way again.